And joining us once again here this week on Market Talk, Kurt Curry, retail development leader based in Illinois for Brevant Seeds. As we are wrapping up harvest season, we got to think about fall nitrogen application and much more. And excited to have that conversation with Kurt here today on the show. And Kurt, thanks again for joining us here on Market Talk here this week. I hope you're doing well.
Yep, I am doing fantastic. I appreciate you having me on again.
Well, let's dive in and have this conversation about fall nitrogen. What should farmers keep in mind as they begin thinking about fall nitrogen applications, Kurt?
I think one of the most important things you got to keep in mind is, when you're going to utilize that nitrogen. So, of course, we're putting it on the fall, but we know that the plant's going to need the majority of that nitrogen as it gets into that rapid growth stage and then into kernel development and ear set. So it really is, how do we protect that nitrogen and make sure it's going to be there for us when we need it? And I think that all starts with using products like InServe in the fall and Instinct in the spring to make sure that you're protecting that nitrogen. At the end of the day, it is one of your highest input costs whenever you think about your crop. So making sure that it's protected and it'll be there when you actually need it is probably my number one concern whenever I start thinking about nitrogen itself.
Well, Kurt, how can farmers determine what kind of nitrogen strategy is going to be best for them here during for their operation during this fall window?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I think that go into kind of your nitrogen plan as you start thinking about that this fall. And I think a lot of it comes from just management practices. So when you think about, it could be anything from when you have the most ample amount of time. So a lot of growers just they're doing their herbicide applications in the spring, or they're wrapping up planting and they just don't have time. So it makes more sense to put it on the fall because of the fact that they've got more time, maybe that during that time of year, or maybe it's even manpower. Obviously things that need to be considered are things like soil types. The CECs that you have in the soil are going to make a big difference on your availability or the ability of that soil to actually hold onto the nitrogen. So there's a lot of different things, but it comes down to basically, like I said, your management practices. But I think it's a good conversation to definitely have with your ag retailer, specifically around when you're gonna have the most time and ability to put that nitrogen on, and what's going to work best for each program, because everybody's management style is just a little bit different. So I think fully understanding the program and the process and knowing the operation, because it can change not just farm by farm, but field by field. So a lot of things to consider whenever you're thinking about when your application timing should happen.
Well, where could farmers go for more tips this fall, Kurt, if they want tips on some of that fall nitrogen application or other things that they want to consider here as they're wrapping up harvest and getting ready for 2024? Where could folks go for more information and tips?
Like I said here just a few seconds ago, I think the best place to go is obviously talk to your local ag retailer. They're obviously the experts both in your local geography, but then also on your farm as well. They understand what the needs and what the management practices that are potentially going on are. Outside of that, when you think about nitrogen, nitrogenstabilizers.com is a great place, Corteva resource to go and find out more information about nitrogen timing applications and how nitrogen is used in the plant and in the soil both. And then, as always, if you want to know more about Brevant Seeds, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And then also you can find us on Brevant.com.
Well, with that, we appreciate the time. Kurt Curry, retail development leader with Brevant Seeds. Thanks so much for joining us again this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you down the road. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.